The ruins were expected. The logs were not complete, and they shook a man who never shakes. Return by Stephen Meehan.
Fenton, where are you all?
We are heading back to camp.
The squadron leader clamped a hand on his radio and signaled his team to stop.
Jarvis, unless you're planning on diverting us to investigate another mystery, learn how to relax.
Don't be snippy. Your report is the bedrock of our expedition.
Fenton scanned his squad and motioned them forward.
We're heading back from the ruins.
Why are you all dragging out this quick jaunt?
Chandri grabbed Fenton's shoulder, her fingernails digging into him.
Did he actually say that?
With an explosive sigh, Fenton pushed Drew's back, driving him forward. Drew grumbled as he glared back at Fenton before continuing his march. After several heartbeats, Fenton took a few slow breaths and squeezed the radio.
Please tell me you saw what that woman considers brief.
I'm aware of the actual distance.
Then stop giving us grief for the delay.
Fenton's gaze drifted to Chandri.
Do us a favor and educate Diana on the correct definition of a reasonable jaunt.
That's already done. What do you have for me?
Fenton's head swayed as he resumed.
Can't you wait until we're back?
I need to know what happened to the previous colonists.
Fenton groaned and wiped the sweat from his face with his forearm.
That's not a straightforward question.
Were you able to discover any valuable information?
Something tore through the colony's perimeter and leveled most of its buildings. You'll have to wait for our return to get our detailed report.
Fenton kicked a stray stone into the forest as he released his weapon and pulled the storage device from his vest. The added logs made the device heavier.
The ship had limited power. I skimmed enough to know you wouldn't have approved this jaunt to begin with. I copied what I could before leaving.
I didn't realize you brought a storage device. How extensive are the logs? How much of the database were you able to retrieve with your portable unit?
A shiver ran down Fenton's back as a branch cracked deep in the forest, echoing Tarian's warning. He examined the forest's shadows.
Well, the first entry I found was from a man named Tarian, the expedition's leader.
What did it say?
Fenton's head snapped to his right while shoving the device into his vest. He brought his rifle up and inspected the undulating shadows. Fenton stepped away from the trees, clearing his throat.
He spent most of that entry documenting the forest. Then he wrote about the things, his word, that moved inside it. We haven't reviewed enough of the tattered logs to understand what we're dealing with.
Fenton, you're more seasoned than that. What's got you on edge?
You won't get all the details over the radio. All I have is what I read and a gut feeling. We'll return from our short walk soon, and then you'll be able to read the logs and form your own opinion.
Fenton lowered his rifle, spun around, and scurried after his squadron. Fenton switched the channel on his radio, silencing Jarvis.
Everyone fall in on me on the double.
Ignoring the confirmations, Fenton continued his march. When the last member of his team fell into step with him, Fenton stopped and leaned against a tree.
Has anyone seen anything interesting in the forest?
No, several members replied. Drew shouldered his rifle as he scrutinized the surrounding undergrowth.
What did you spot?
Nothing.
Fenton's fingers crept along his gun, ejecting the power cell. His eyes flicked to the cartridge's indicator, and he slammed it into place.
Probably just the wind.
Forget that.
Alec poked the bulge in Fenton's vest.
Ever since you skimmed those logs, you've been different. What's in there?
Fenton brushed Alec's arm aside and drew in a sharp breath.
I said I'm fine. Besides, we don't have time to talk about this. Jarvis is getting punchy.
A massive creature burst through the trees and bellowed. The roar rolled across the squadron, silencing everyone. Fenton jumped away from the monstrous intruder.
Shoot it!
The monster yanked a small tree from the ground and screamed, brandishing the improvised weapon over its head. Fenton dropped to a knee, trained his rifle on the thing's chest, and squeezed the trigger. Streaks of light thundered from the barrel and slammed into the creature. The towering monstrosity howled as flames erupted from where the shot struck its barky skin. Another emerged, driving a gnarled tree limb into the ground.
This is our forest.
Fenton glanced at his men before he swept his rifle towards the advancing shapes.
Don't gawk! Fire! Annihilate them!
The squad pivoted and unleashed another volley. As each burst of light struck the creature, fire blossomed and raced to consume it. The living tree roared and rushed a clustered group of Fenton's squadron, swinging its makeshift club. The soldiers scattered, one dove behind a fallen trunk as the club shattered bark inches from his boots. As the bolts slammed into the towering trunk, it howled and drove its improvised weapon into the ground. The creature slammed its roots into the soil. The ground buckled beneath the squad, throwing them off their feet. Fenton's head whipped up, and he watched the living tree retreat as it tried, extinguishing the flames.
Do we follow?
Drew offered Fenton his hand.
You? You want to track them?
Fenton gripped Drew's wrist and pulled himself off the ground. He hauled himself upright and pointed at the carnage.
Are you okay?
Nope.
Drew spun around, his hands whipping over his head as he resumed his march.
Diana said to expect fantasy. Didn't think that included walking trees.
With that, I'd prefer setting up base camp.
Fenton rubbed his forehead and sighed. As he resumed, a pair of distant treetops stirred. Sharp cracks split the air as wood snapped in sequence. Fenton's face paled. He swallowed and whirled toward the ship.
The snippets weren't hysteria. They were a warning. Those creatures weren't retreating. They were the initial wave. Run!
With that, our story concludes. I hope you've enjoyed today's reprieve from your daily grind. If you like the vibe, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Because every bit helps get this channel spread to those who require a momentary chance to unwind. I'll see you for the next tale, my friends. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. But why not keep the rhythm going? Pick one of the videos on screen and settle in for another moment of escape. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and tap the bell to get notified when new tales drop.